Are these the world's rarest wildcats? Let's find out. This is Serpens catus, the Amazon snake cat. At a weight of 4 kilograms and a length of 50 centimeters, or in American, just under 9 pounds and 20 feet, or is it 4 stone? We're not really sure. Either way, it is the rarest wildcat in the world, and lives deep in hard-to-reach regions of the Amazon rainforest. It is virtually untamed, but some Amazonians have reportedly used them to protect their homes from rodents. And, unfortunately, yeah. If you haven't picked up on it by now, this cat is, unfortunately, an obvious hoax. It's a mix of either several different small wildcat species, or a regular domestic cat with a mangrove snake. A snake species that isn't even native to the Amazon, by the way. Despite the red flags in March of 2023, the hoax went viral, with tons of people wondering if these felines were real. And I'll try and cut you guys some slack. If you only looked at this creature for a few seconds and thought, oh, that's kinda cool, I'll give you a pass for thinking it was real. But if you looked closely at this image for longer than a few seconds and seriously thought it was real, well, all I'm gonna say is you were probably raised like this.
Christmas spirit. Christmas spirit.
Ho, ho, ho! Merry Christmas!
I mean, look at this TikTok. And between using AIR and not even trying to keep the look of the cat consistent, this is multiple layers of pure laziness.
Serpens catus, snake cat, is the rarest cat species in the world.
If you don't shut your mouth, I will kill you.
Without a doubt, this is one of the dumbest zoological hoaxes that somehow went viral in recent memory. But knowing the internet, it'll surely not be the last. So while you're here, let's try and regrow some brain cells that we lost while watching YouTube Shorts, TikTok, Instagram Reels, Funimate, Zigazoo Kids.
A key feature of its app is connecting kids with brands. Now, basically inviting businesses to sell to young children as young as 3.
Great.
Fun social media challenges made by the company, right? The one that they advertise is, can you share your favorite stretch or warm-up routine? And then children respond in video form, showing their favorite stretch.
And actually talk about some of the world's rarest wildcats before our brains melt out of our skulls. The wildcat species that actually live inside of the Amazon rainforest include the jaguar, jaguarundi, puma, ocelot, oncilla, and margay.
Oh, Reginald, I disagree.
Any cats on this list I don't mention going forward have little to no relation to the snake cat, and thus will not be elaborated on further. In this article by the New York Post, it states that when asked about the Amazonian snake cat, Andrew Kitchinger, a principal curator of vertebrae specializing in research of mammals and carnivores, and author of The Natural History of the Wildcats, stated the snake cat reminded him of the margay. I agree with his assessment, but the snake cat reminds me of several other wildcat species that I'd like to elaborate on. The jaguarundi is a small wildcat species that, due to their small faces and long thin bodies, have often been described to resemble a weasel, ferret, or otter, with ottercat being the second most frequently used name for the species. They weigh in at around 10 pounds, with a length of on average 40 inches, and they are the species that I believe closest resemble the snake cat in both size, location, and history in relation to human contact. For a time, Central American natives tamed these cats to protect their homes from rodents, stating the process was relatively easy to achieve, and although I don't doubt their testimonies, I wouldn't advise you go up to a jaguarundi and attempt this on your own. Moving on to other species that somewhat resemble the snake cat, the facial structure somewhat reminds me of a codcod, which is the smallest wildcat species in all of the Americas, weighing in on average only at around 5 pounds, with an average length of only 9.8 inches. I also have a video on this cat in the works, so I guess stay tuned. It's also giving on Scylla vibes, but maybe that's just me. In the TikTok I mocked earlier, a few of the cats pictured, or I guess I should say, generated, have features that remind me of regular domestic cats and ocelots. With these two generated images in particular resembling a mix between a mountain lion cub and an ocelot to me, due to their facial structure, large stompers, and big bluish eyes. Easily the most striking feature of the snake cat are its bright yellow patterns and jet black coat. This raises the question, even though the snake cat might not be real, are there any actual species of wildcat that rock a similar look? Unfortunately for us, but fortunately for the cats, bright colors like this do not exist on any species of wildcat, and no known gene can produce such yellows this bright. Melanism is a condition that has been documented to affect a wide range of wildcat species, most famously the jaguar and the leopard, whose melanistic variants were so alien they once were thought to be their own separate species called black panthers. Melanism causes an excess creation of black pigments, and while you may sometimes be able to see their true patterns visible through their dark fur, it's never this bright yellow. A wildcat's whole way of life is dependent on stealth, sneaking around in the shadows and trying to remain undetected so they can eat and live another day. Bright neon colors like this would actively make their job of stalking prey harder. We can actually see this problem in action with cats born with albinism, which is the lack of melanin, as they struggle to stay hidden and survive in the wild. I mean, it's kind of like seeing a pillow right out in the middle of the forest. This look may work in the Arctic, but in the average forest, it's not really going to work. However, there is one naturally blackish wildcat, not counting the jaguarundi because that's more of a deep brown. The species is called the remote cat. It is a small wildcat and subspecies of the Asian leopard cat, native to the Japanese island of remote. It'll easily be the most endangered wildcat I'll mention today, as it's been estimated that less than 100 are left alive in the wild today, with this low population being a result of hit and runs and crossbreeding with stray domestic cats. I think these little cats are super cute, and it's too bad that EDP probably has more follicles left on his bald head than this subspecies has members left alive in the wild today.
I can't live without you. I said I would never leave you, and I'm never going to leave you. I'll never leave you again, never.
I don't fist bump people like you, man.
Why are we still here? Just pick up a cupcake and then go back home. That makes sense to me.
The fact the snake cat wasn't found until 2020 would seem to be another glaring red flag to many on this cat being fake. I mean, in the modern world, surely technology would have picked up on every species of wildcat by now. There's only 40 of them that we know of. It's not like ants where it seems like we find a new one every day. And yes, there is no wildcat species that hasn't been discovered in the past 100 years. But it might surprise you to know that there is one species that wasn't photographed alive until nearly the turn of the century. The Borneo bay cat is a medium-sized wildcat species only found on the island of Borneo in Malaysia. The first recorded account of this species was a skull recovered in Sarawak by Alfred Russel Wallace. Due to the humid climate of Borneo, unfortunately, only bones and sparse eyewitness testimonies confirmed this cat's existence. Intact or rotting bodies were never recovered because of the humid climate of Borneo quickly eroding any dead matter, and it would be another 126 years before a live specimen would be captured and studied properly. In 1992, a female bay cat had escaped captivity in what was assumed to be several months of capture from groups of native trappers illegally keeping it in captivity, and was found by researchers in very poor condition, near death. To really put into your head how elusive this cat truly is, a bay cat had not even reportedly been spotted since 1928, a near lifetime gap between a sighting and the finding of a live specimen. The female cat would sadly die soon after being transported to the Sarawak Museum. Finding such an intact specimen was celebrated by zoologists worldwide. It wouldn't be long, however, before a live bay cat was captured and photographed. 6 years later, in 1998, the BBC would capture a live bay cat and photograph it. They would proceed to examine, deworm, and send it off back into the forest soon after. The Borneo bay cat is still a very elusive and under-researched species today, but at least now we have more to go off of than a few drawings and eyewitness testimonies that date back from before the start of the Great Depression. It's unfortunate that instead of talking about actually rare and interesting wildcats, for whatever reason, the internet props up these obviously fake stories, but it is what it is. If you like this video, I currently have 2 more videos on wildcats in the works. One I already mentioned about the cod, and another that I have almost finished about the various wildcat species that are found in the DPKR, aka North Korea. So if you're interested in this kind of content, don't be afraid to subscribe to the Mr. Epic on youtube.com. No pressure. And finally, a quick update on my video on the oldest photographs of the flat-headed cat. While doing research for this video, I came across a book titled Wildcats, published by the National Geographic in 1981. The cat pictured also looked similar to several other photographs of flat-headed cats, and it's likely that these are all the same cat. At the time, I didn't include them in my video because I wasn't sure of the date these photos were taken, and I had assumed at the time these photos dated back to either the late 80s or early 90s. Seeing that this photograph was published in 1982 tells me that the oldest color and professional photographs that I've been able to find were taken either in the late 70s or very early 80s. And that's all for now. But don't worry.
No matter. I can buy 100 more.